I discovered I'm straight, but what I also discovered is I think we're all a little bit gay. It's a spectrum and we're all on it somewhere. Big, beautiful, brutish boys that you run with. This is your crew, right? All of you guys have watched NFL together. But think about what you do there. You get together on a Sunday with all your boyfriends. You sit in front of a screen and you watch muscular, athletic men running around on a field for hours in skin-tight Lululemon leggings. That is, my friend, a little bit gay. And that's okay. Doesn't mean you want to make passionate love to those men, but it does mean you appreciate the physique of a powerful, muscular man.
Right, Jeff Leach, man, what's up, dude?
How are you?
Dude,
Thank you so much for having me on.
Hey, it's a pleasure, man. Thank you for coming. New show nationally on Hulu.
Yeah.
Right? Predator, Killer of Killers.
Yeah, feature film.
Feature, right? Like June 6th, already 98% on Rotten Tomatoes. It's nearly a perfect score, man.
I know, and almost all of those reviews were written by me, so it's like, you know.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, different IP addresses.
I've been setting up burner accounts. I'm just trying to get it to 100. Yeah.
Hey, dude, I need that. I need that info, man.
No, it's mind-blowing. I mean, the fans have received it so well. I think if you're a fan of the original Predator movies, or if you're a fan of Dan Trachtenberg's work, who's obviously the director on Predator, Killer of Killers, and the previous film, Predator, Prey, which was incredibly well lauded by critics and fan base alike, then you're going to be excited about this film because it kind of fills in the gaps of the Predator race, you know, that alien race of hunters, and their engagement with humanity over thousands of years rather than just over a particular portion of time, you know?
It's awesome. How was it like filming that? You know, I mean, I'm sure you had to have been excited and, you know, now to see the early success of it, how's that enriched your experience?
Yeah, of course. I mean, when you're voicing characters, obviously in feature films, you know, this is an animated feature. It's obviously a different process than being on set every day with the rest of the cast. So it is a bit more of a solitary experience. But that's a new challenge in itself, you know, but going into the booth, Dan was on my session. I believe he was in the sessions for all the actors. He really cares deeply about making sure those voices really match up with what aesthetic concepts he had for each of the characters when he was writing the story. And I personally am a stand-up and gesticulate kind of voice actor. I don't like sitting down in a chair and kind of, you know, just reading the lines. I feel like you need to embody what your character is. So for this one, it was obviously a 7-foot Viking warrior called Ivar. You know, Ivar, yes, you know. So he was very... I have to make myself bigger and larger than life. I'm 6'4", so I'm almost there.
You're still big, man.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I've been doing my squats.
Yeah, attaboy. Been doing your walks, too, on the mountains and all that kind of stuff.
I love hiking. Yeah, I'm super into my fitness stuff now. And I'm trying to get big for a film that I'm shooting at the end of the year, actually. So
nice.
But I'm not quite 7 foot and built like a proverbial brick shithouse. So I had to channel that kind of big energy in the booth. And that's always fun. It's always fun to play something that is so visually and aesthetically not you.
Right.
You know, that's why I love voice acting. We don't do it for the money, the voice acting roles. That's the on-camera roles. That's the TV and the film roles. But feature films like this, they're animated or AAA video games. You do that because you really love playing characters that are so outside of what aesthetically you're able to play. You know, I can play a 70-year-old wizard with my voice, but I can't play that in my real life unless someone's going to spend a huge amount of time putting me in prosthetics every day, which, you know, maybe they will, but it's easier to hire Sir Ian McKellen for that role. Yeah. And you should, because he is an incredible actor.
Right. How was that built out your dynamic, right? Because as you said, on camera versus voiceovers, has it given you more range as a talent, comedian, actor, all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. And also it's it kind of benefits me. It's a boon in the other areas of creative pursuits that I'm passionate about, like my stand-up comedy. I do lots of act-outs within my set. I tell stories that are true and they're from my personal life. I like people to empathize with me as a human, laugh at those situations. Hopefully they don't have to go through the same things, but they can empathize with some of the concepts, whether it be heartbreak, love, aging, raising children, you know, having breakups, etc. Or and I recreate some of the characters when I do my stand-up as well. So I do that physically, I do that with my voice, and obviously the voice work I'm doing in the booth helps that because it just gives me a larger spectrum of people that I can draw from in terms of accents, characters, ages, etc. But also it's just fun, man. I just love being something I'm not, you know, for a minute. I want to play villains. That would be my ideal role for the rest of my career. I think villains are way more fun to play. Anti-heroes, you know, the heroic guy. Who doesn't love Captain America? Sure, he's wonderful, but way more fun to play Thanos. Do you know what I mean?
You have to have one, right?
Yeah.
We have to have one. You have to
Yeah,
have the
so,
villain.
you know, maybe I'll emulate Josh Brolin's career one day in the future, and,
cool, man.
and I'd be grateful for that. But yeah, playing good villains, and I'm not a villain in real life, you know, I try and be a good, morally and ethically on point human being. So yeah, playing a mass murdering lunatic sounds exciting to me.
badass,
And I got to do that in
Yes.
Netflix. There's a show called Record of Ragnarok. I played Jack the Ripper. And, you know, when am I ever going to get to play a serial killer who's fighting Hercules to the death?
It's badass, dude.
Yeah.
That's badass. You know, you touched on your stand-up, and I gotta tell you, I've watched your stand-up. I've watched your 2023 special.
Right.
You're absolutely hysterical.
Thank you, man.
And
That's very sweet of you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. It's brilliant. Right. Talk about that bit, because I mean, I got 2 minutes in and I'm like, dude, this guy is absolutely hysterical at just everything from the part of like you getting to New York and the way you were dressed, and then the haircut and the point of view from New York versus LA.
Yeah, yeah.
Dude, it was like everything. I feel like everything that you say is what most people think, but can't really put together the joke. So, would you talk about that, man?
Like I say, again, it's just drawing from my own personal experience, you know? I don't believe in making up material. There are comics who do it. I know Hassan Minaj got lit up about a year ago or something for acknowledging that half of his jokes are kind of exaggerated or not even real. They were concepts that were real to him, but he hadn't actually lived them. For me personally, I feel like I want to talk about what I know, what I've experienced. And I want my comedy to make you laugh, ideally to the point of crying if you're into it. But I also want you to walk away slightly changed by the material. So like I say, when I talk about mental health issues, you know, mental health advocacy is a big thing for me because I suffered with depression for 3 decades, clinical depression. I was undiagnosed, but pretty certain I was bipolar 1 for a long time. And, you know, I've navigated alcohol addiction. I'm 6 years sober now. All of these things are not necessary source of amusement for a lot of people. You go to an AA meeting, which I do frequently, you know, people are generally not laughing throughout most of their shares in those meetings. But when the humor comes out of those sad or difficult situations, I feel it's so much more real. And then your audience might walk away slightly changed by that. I've got a bit of material I'm doing at the moment, all about after my breakup with my ex-fiance.
I heard some stuff about that.
Yeah, questioning my own sexuality.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? Now,
Yeah.
I'm a straight guy. I've only ever been intimate with women. I've always been into women. But when you have that many breakups with women, you go like, is there a possibility that I could just suck a little dick? Like, could I give that a go? And how would that work out for me? Because you know what? All my gay friends are having a great time. They're enjoying themselves, you know, except for, you know, what's going on in the country to some extent, you know, right now for the LGBTQ community. But I like doing jokes about questioning my own sexuality, even if the end of the piece and the end of the bit is, look, I discovered I'm straight, but what I also discovered is I think we're all a little bit gay. That it's a spectrum and we're all on it somewhere. Even if you watch NFL, you think you're the most manliest man. Look, we're in a room surrounded big, beautiful, brutish boys that you run with. This is your crew, right? All of you guys have watched NFL together, but think about what you do there. You get together on a Sunday with all your boyfriends, you get a little buzz together, and you sit in front of a screen and you watch muscular, athletic men running around on a field for hours in skin-tight Lululemon leggings. That is, my friend, a little bit gay. And that's okay. Doesn't mean you want to make passionate love to those men, but it does mean you appreciate the physique of a powerful, muscular man. And there's something that's a little homoerotic in that.
Could be, right? Could be. It's just so funny.
Not could be. It definitely is. And you've got to question yourself on the drive home.
Listen, man, I had this conversation with a buddy the other day. I'm like, everybody's got it in them, man. Like, I'm sorry. There's, like you said, that spectrum. It's spectrum, right? But it's funny because when you brought that up, dude, that was a part of your bit that I think most men would laugh their asses off.
They did, because they're going, fuck, he's right. I do spend a lot of time staring at men running in tight outfits.
Eating pizza, it's halftime. That bit right there, I was like, dude, that's funny, right?
Urinal. You ever stood at a urinal in a bar on a Friday night? Of course you have. And you've been stood there, you've been taking a pee, and a giant man has walked in next to you and he's pulled out an absolute hog, a leviathan of a penis, and guarantee every man in the world has at some point side-eyed another man's penis. Like, Jesus Christ, that's huge.
Well, I mean, I play sports. You're in a locker room, you see him all the time.
There you go. And it doesn't mean you want to make love to that guy. It doesn't mean you're a pervert. You're not trying to proposition him at the urinal. It doesn't mean you're gay or bisexual because you're not trying to have sex with the guy. But you definitely caught a wind of that gigantic hog and you had a little look at it. And that is just a smidgen, just a tiny iota.
It's a little bit
homoerotic, and that's okay. And that's what I do on stage. I make jokes about my concepts that most people don't think about, but then everyone can relate to it. They go, Jesus Christ, I have done that. I have side-eyed a dick. I have like watched men for a long time, for many years, and appreciate their bodies and their power. And maybe there is something to that. Maybe that is a little homoerotic, and that's okay. That doesn't mean that I have to question my whole identity. But I think, here's the reality. Biologically, every 7 years, every cell in your body dies and is regrown and is reborn. You are literally a different vessel every 7 years. So why wouldn't you constantly evolve and grow and change within your own identity? You don't have to be beholden to the things that have dictated your identity throughout your life. Sometimes it's our parents, sometimes it's teachers, sometimes it's traumas we experience. And sometimes, more often than not, emotional dysregulation, depression, alcoholism, these are byproducts of traumas that happened earlier in life.
Sure.
I'm not going to be beholden to those anymore. So I decided at a certain point, I'm done with the drink. I decided at a certain point, I'm done with the depression. How do I change my entire identity? And that's a grander, more mental health skewed aspect of what I talk about in my stand-up. Like, constantly grow, constantly evolve, and laugh at aspects of yourself as you do so.
Well, I think when we talk about trauma and we talk about things that are bad that are going on in the world in our lives, humor, you know, is what brings the forefront. It's a part
freedom.
It's healing, right? And what I love, like you kind of went on a segue, because a part of the show is like massively directed towards staying healthy mentally. Like we want to send that message.
And physically, you're all jacked. What is this? This is what you do. This
is what we do, right? Okay. But, you know, so like,
do you ever do episodes where you all take your shirts off?
Oh no, gosh no.
Okay.
Gosh no. Not there yet.
All right.
Not there yet.
You haven't seen enough of my stand-up to question yourself fully yet.
Well, not even that. I just like, hey, I don't know if I'm ready to show this thing off on camera.
All right. Okay, cool.
But no, it's interesting because when you talk about depression, you know, I've struggled, you know, many years with, and again, not clinically diagnosed, but there's moments where I sat there and found myself like, I'm not in alignment with who I am. I'm down. I seem to wake up in the morning, my body hurts, and emotionally I'm just destroyed.
You recognize the patterns of depression.
Absolutely, man. And for me, and I realize, and I want to acknowledge to the audience that not everybody can come out of it like I would be able to. So for me, it's diving into my nutrition, it's diving into my workouts. That for me kind of brings me out of a depressed state. But it's not that way for everybody. So are you comfortable talking about your journey? And like you said, at one point you said, hey man, I think I'm bipolar 1. Like, how did you come out of it, man? Because
so I want to clarify. So I was clinically diagnosed with depression.
Okay, got it.
For 3 decades. After talking to my therapist now for 5 years, what we've established is that I was probably bipolar 1. So, you know, periods of great manic successes and like, oh, I'm just running, I'm doing a million things. Look at me, I'm achieving, I'm thriving, I'm succeeding. And then huge crashes that might last weeks where I just don't want to leave my bed, you know, and where I hate myself, a constant voice in the head, constant, whether things are good or bad, constantly questioning myself, self-loathing. And I never took any medication. I mean, I come from the UK. We generally don't dish out medication unless you have suicide ideation, which didn't hit me until later in my life. You know, when did I leave LA? New York, sorry, 6 years ago, I tried to commit suicide. It was a very failed attempt, a very weak attempt. I'm intelligent enough that if I'd really wanted to get the job done, I probably could have thought of a better way to do it and got it done. But after that experience, I realized, well, look, I don't want to die, clearly, because otherwise I would have done it properly. So I want to live. My only other option is to live. There's an adage in the Alcoholics Anonymous community, and NA as well, I imagine, and SLAA, which is you get sick and tired of being sick and tired. So that, what you're describing, your moments, your periods of depressive state, feeling low for a few days, getting down on yourself, not wanting to be successful or achieve anything. Imagine that as a constant state of being that you're constantly battling for decades. And that's really where I was at. And I got to a point where I just went, I'm so sick and tired of feeling this way. because the only options out of that freedom is either death, which I didn't want to do. And unfortunately, I've had some of my closest, in fact, even my best friend, you know, a number of very close friends, but my best brother friends, you know, took their own lives. And I was like, well, I don't want to do that. So what are my other options? I either exist in this state and have another 70 years of misery, or I change who I am. I find ways to do that. And the reprogramming came through a mixture of therapy with a wonderful gentleman, Professor Mike Feldler. Shout out to my therapist. Mike, he's an East Coast, real straight talking dude, you know, from the East Coast. He's helped me immensely. And then also sobriety. And at the beginning of my journey, I also did some psilocybin trips.
Oh,
I had
cool.
some psilocybin medical, you know, medicine. You do different medicines.
Right, absolutely,
you know, it might be boosting various vitamins and etc. For me, it was, I need to leave my body, go somewhere else. And I had some realizations in that and some explanations of what the cosmos is and what I am. And I'm not even this. I'm not this physical body. I'm not the identity attached to it. I'm not the jewelry and the earrings and the rings. That's all performance. And I love it. It's,
sure, of course.
It's the identity I've chosen because I enjoy it. But who I am is really just a little spark of energy. And if you can get further and further back to that, which I think is what every philosopher and enlightened being seems to work towards, you know, the concept of the self. You go beyond the superego, beyond the id, beyond that child and that parent, you know, that's constantly the voice in your head, and you get back and back and back beyond the body. You realize you're just an observer. So what do you want to watch? Do you want to watch a happy movie, or do you want to watch a miserable movie that makes you cry the whole time?
I love this conversation, first and foremost, because, you know, there's been a lot of people that are going to the psilocybins, the natural, you know, plant medicines that are here. And they're here for a reason, right? I haven't gone that route. I'm not against it at all, right? But it is.
I'd be intrigued to see what would happen if you tried it once, and what realizations or what epiphanies you might have. Because as someone who seems very balanced, everyone I know who's, you know, had a big trip, and I'm talking like we take 7 grams and you leave your body. Ketamine infusion therapy is another one that does similar things. It basically, scientifically now, they've got so much data. It reprograms your brain, literally blocks that you have along synapses that are now broken because of a trauma. This is true for first responders, for veterans, for serving military, for police officers. It has a 100% success rate, ketamine infusion therapy, with first responders and military personnel. Because it basically, you know, you have a blockage, a trauma that stops you getting from point A to point B in your own mind. They grow new synapses. It grows a new path.
Well, it's a disassociate, right? So like you're going through it, but you don't actually feel it. It's like you're an observer.
You don't have to hold on to that moment anymore and not be able to get beyond it. It grows a new path. You go, oh, look, that's that thing that has been screwing me up for 10 years. Man. And I don't need to be beholden to that anymore. I can be okay with it. I can move beyond it. It's not defining me.
Right.
I did a documentary, a mini doc that I'm going to be releasing later this year about this, and a program called Patriot Power Up program, because some of my jobs in the past, voiceover jobs, have connected me to the military community, and veterans in particular flooded to me. And now I'm a big part of that community. I volunteer and am partnered with the US vets in Las Vegas and here in California. Ambassador for a couple of veteran skewed charities, including the children of vets who've lost their lives. And that work has like made me so deeply interested in understanding how broken people can fix themselves, you know, and we can.
Absolutely. You know, and it's crazy because, you know, you're talking about living versus existing, right? So,
yeah,
I mean, there's a massive difference, right? Massive difference. Like I just don't want to exist, because for the longest time
man, now you're getting deep.
That's what I love it. I love it because you're taking me on my own journey as you're speaking. I'm thinking about the things that I've gone through recently. You know, fourth quarter of 2024, what most people don't know. I mean, my wife does, my partners do, and the people that are closest to me know where I was at, right? So I would record a show, but then on the off time, I couldn't go to the gym. I really honestly couldn't get off my couch because I was just so down, man. Like I couldn't move. I was existing, not living.
Right.
Now I took control of a lot of different things in my life, and now I'm living every day.
I'm really happy to see that.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, shit, man, I live in Florida. I'm out here with you. You know, we're spending time here in Hollywood and Burbank the next couple of days, and it's like that to me is like, wow, this thing has grown so much because of the decisions that I made. I'm like, am I going to watch a sad movie, Or am I going to pour into the good movie, a happy movie? And of course, there's moments.
Am I going to rewrite my script? That's
exactly.
What it is,
and there's moments where it's like, man, I don't know. Today just, I don't know if I can do it today. But you just do the thing. You move on. And the one thing that I really love about your story, because you're talking about your healing, but the one thing, and I really hope that you own this, is that you are now living, but you're also healing more because you are giving back.
Service. So that's the integral part. When you are of service to yourself, which is what healing yourself does, dealing with your traumas, getting sober, getting right in your body, getting right in your mind. As soon as you're of service to yourself, you are infinitely more able to be of service to other people. Now, not everyone does that. Some people go through their lives self-serving the entire time, don't ever give back. And those people often end up pretty miserable. Some of the biggest stars here in this city, in Hollywood, they've been very self-serving. They got millions of dollars in the bank, opportunities through the wazoo, but they're miserable, deeply miserable, because they've lost the balance. I've realized because of the impact, me being very vocal about my lows and how I navigated to get out of those and to find a higher state of living rather than existing, has already had impact on some people. People send me messages. I get, when I was streaming, like almost on a daily basis. Oh man, you talking about your alcoholism and navigating that. You talking about your depression. Dude, I didn't even know that my favorite character in a video game would even go through something like that. Where did you get help? Hey, check this out. Check this resource, And by doing that, it makes you feel good to help other people. It makes you feel more empowered in your own journey to see others empowering themselves based on the things that you've shared. And, all good advice is literally just someone talking about the mistakes they've made in the past and how they navigated them.
That's it.
That's what it is. So.
That's it, right? Not talking from the soapbox, but talking from the scars.
Yeah.
Right. So when you have that experience in healing, you can now give back to somebody. It brings up great points because you're talking about stars in Hollywood that have been self-serving. They're not giving back, and they may feel this emptiness. And
some of them do, and they're great. Those are the people I want to emulate the careers and successes.
Absolutely. But I think what we're searching for in life, right, and to have that ultimate fulfillment, there has to be impact.
Yeah, for
right.
sure.
And if you can impact somebody, and that's what we do in the show. It's like, I don't just do this to hear myself talk. I'm like, I want to have a podcast so I can talk about myself and people. I want to bring messages like this today that the audience can listen to. Like, that's a funny son of a bitch, but like, wow, he's deep. And you know what? I never thought of things like that. They get different perspective. So now, someone else that you don't know worldwide that is listening to the show, you're impacting them and you're giving them realizations of what they need to start working on.
Yeah. Or even I'm just holding up a mirror, man. I'm going, look, I'm broken. Who isn't? Show me someone who hasn't got some kind of issue. You're showing me a liar.
Dude.
That's the reality. So everyone's got something going on. Taking time to talk to people is important. Taking time to talk about your own experiences and navigating them is equally important. And you never know who you're going to help along the way. So I'm very grateful that there's already been enough people brave enough to message me and let me know that there's been an impact. And so that tells me I'm on the right path. I'll just keep doing it. Now, certain brands, certain entities, corporate entities, don't necessarily want that from their stars, their actors, their performers. And that's okay. I get it. Sometimes they want it all to be light and bubbles and positivity. What I'm suggesting is positive, I think, but you have to show there was some dark, but this is the light that can come from that when you start being honest and open about it. And it saved my life, literally saved my life, stopped me trying to kill myself. And if that does something for another person, if some 11-year-old kid who plays video games that I'm the lead character in, hears me talking on a podcast like this about this, and that makes them open up to someone because they're being bullied at school or they're depressed or they're thinking about hurting themselves and they don't want to do that, that's worth more to me than any paycheck or any career success anyway.
See, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I love because, as you said, some brands, some things, like they don't want that from their talent.
Of course,
but those aren't your people, right? Those aren't your people. You want to be welcomed for who you are.
That's the Kardashians. They can take that job.
Yeah. Hey, they do.
They do,
and they do it well
to the tune of billions of dollars.
Seriously, good God.
Yeah, I still pay rent. Sure. My point is there's brand deals who want pretty people who will say, hey, everything's light and fairy and wonderful. Buy this thing. That's someone else's job. Absolutely. My job is to be the actor, the comedian, the performer, the producer, the script writer who tells stories and that are true, and then also imparts, hey, it's not all light and fairies, but that's okay. Yeah. That's all right. And you can get to a place where it is if you're honest about the things that are dark.
That brings up a good point because, you know, you look at delusional optimism.
Right.
That shit could be toxic, man.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know? So like we all want to be happy and, you know, I've fallen into that, dude. It's like, hey, how are you? I'm great.
Yeah, yeah.
Sean, are you? I had somebody reach out
And
to
you
me.
need someone in that moment, you need someone who's digging a bit deeper to actually get it. Most people, we go, how you doing? Yeah, great. And they go, cool. Right, let's get on with the thing. And there's been no real exploration there. Do you know what I mean?
It's funny because I got a message about a year and a half ago from somebody, old friend. And when he sent me the message, he's like, hey, I just want to make sure you're good. I'm like, yeah, man, what's up? Like, everything's fine. He's like, well, I know things a lot of times from the outside look like everything's great, but those are the people who are hurting the most. I'm like, I'm good, man. Like, and I didn't know. And it's so cool because, you know, when I look back on that interaction, like I responded internally. I was pissed. I was like, dude, we haven't talked for how long? And you don't even know who I am anymore. I'm a different person. But when I look back at it, it's like, man, you know, he was right because came back around and he goes, now I can see, I can see the happiness in your face. You're smiling with your soul again, or some, you know, not verbatim, but that was it. But you know, but we need people like that to hold us accountable. I just wish at that point he would have went deeper. Like, hey, I know you're probably triggered here, but like, this is what I'm seeing. You know?
You probably felt the reaction. You know, if
probably,
you had a little insecurity around that, or you weren't even completely aware yourself and you push back, it's like, all right, maybe now's not the time. But you got to also pick and choose your moments. You know, I see that.
But it was cool because maybe subconsciously I thought, well, hey, maybe he's right.
Yeah.
You know, maybe I start making these moves because it was shortly after that I started to come out of it by action.
Right.
Every day, you know.
Right.
And so with that, right, with action, we all have these massive goals. I mean, you're doing some amazing things in your career, and you have done, and you're continuing to. More things coming out. There is another movie coming out June 26th that I do want to touch on.
That's a AAA video game. Yeah, so
yeah, that's
Kojima,
right. PlayStation, right?
Yeah, Hideo Kojima's next game, Death Stranding 2. So I'll be playing Pierre Southern in that, alongside like Norman Reedus and Elle Fanning. It's a great cast, man. Yeah, I feel very blessed. And Hideo Kojima is like one of the godfathers of video games. You know, this is a guy who, I don't know if you ever played Metal Gear Solid.
Oh yeah, man.
Yeah. I mean, like that's him. He's like he's the stealth king. So I'm very excited to be in that project.
And that's the thing, right? That's like the mountain, right? You see, that's the goal. That's the job. But there's all these different micro movements in between where you're taking action every day. Because if you don't do that, then you don't have the on-screen, right? You don't have the stand-up. Can you touch on your process a little bit? Because there's people out there right now that want to hit their goal. They want to make sure that, hey, I want to be at the top of my game, but they're so focused on this that they're forgetting the stages, right?
Sure. Working my way up. Look, I'm 40 years of age. Let's lay it out. I'm 40. I look all right. You know, I mean, I'm not too out of shape. I'm not too bad at the moment.
Great, man.
You're very sweet. I wasn't fishing. What I mean is like, I've got time. Like I'm not in a rush. I was, when I was a younger man, I was most definitely in a rush. Do you know what I mean? Like most people in this industry, unless you have nepotism on your side, so you're a child of a famous performer already, or your dad's the owner of the business that you want to thrive and get to the C-level suite on. You know, you have to work your way up the ladder, and I've done that. I've made the coffees, I've done the photocopies, I've done all of that stuff to work my way up the industry, which is important. I think it makes you a better, more grateful success story when you get to your place of success. I'm also, where I'm at now, I appreciate you lauding my various, projects and successes I've already had.
Yeah.
But there's another height, another level of things I want to achieve, and creators I want to create with, artists I want to work with, roles I want to portray, scripts I want to write. What I've learned more than anything is I spent a good few years, maybe a full decade, existing within that cynicism of, I've got so many opportunities that I've lost out on or have been passed over on, or some BS has got in the way of me achieving that thing or getting that thing, or I've even recorded the job and then something else has gone wrong and they lost funding, or another actor, they fell out with someone else and the project fell apart, whatever it is, where that should have been my big moment to really succeed.
The should have, right?
Yeah. I mean, look, when I was 26, I booked a massive Hollywood role with a bunch of, like, the cast was insane. It would have been, by sure, even today's standard, it would be the biggest project I'd ever done. It would have launched me, big red carpets, all that. and I got jacked. I had a personal trainer for a few months. I spent a bunch of money. I got told what I was being paid, which wasn't a huge fee, but for me, it was huge. At that time, I'm 26. I'm sure compared to the other stars, they were all getting multi-millions and I was getting hundreds of thousands, but I was like, wow, this is huge. And I spent a load of money on a trainer. I spent a load of money on a suit for the red carpet. I did all these things. I was so excited. And then a month before Principal Photography, they lost one of their major funding sources. It got moved to another picture. And I didn't know, this was my first big movie. So I was so unbelievably depressed. It got delayed 6 months, then a year, then it never happened. It's still on IMDb in development 20 years later, right? Or 15 years later. That really crushed me. But what I realize now is I was so focused on the finishing of a project, what that goal is going to do for me, what that will do for my career, will that push me to the next place? Is that going to build my brand? Is that going to get me a bigger audience? I was so focused on that rather than being focused on creating something good and just enjoying the process. That's my biggest piece of advice for anyone who's listening, whether you are starting up a brand new business, it doesn't have to be in entertainment, whether you are trying to get that raise or that ascension to the next role in your business, enjoy the present moment and doing what you're doing now. And it will lead to more opportunities. It just will. Yeah. Because people will recognize you at work. Wow, have you seen how hard he's working at the moment? Let's get him, let's talk about a raise. Oh, wow, have you seen this guy? He's excelling, he's thriving. Wow, let's get him in. Have you seen what she's been doing on set? Wow, she's working so hard. Maybe we'll get her on the next project. It will lead to more opportunities. But also, if you're focused on enjoying the process of creating a thing or doing the thing, then you don't stress about what happens at the end of it. I'm producing a movie right now, right? I wrote a script, it's an adaptation from a novel. It's going to be a short film that's coming out at the end of the year. It's based on a franchise that I'm deeply passionate about, not involved in. It's not official. It's basically a fan film that I'm making. And it's going to cost me quite a lot of money. We're talking like over $100,000 of my own cash for this short film. I brought together loads of people who can do it on a cheap budget, but at a high level. I'm not worried about the success of this thing. I have goals for it, for sure. But even if the success of it is, I just made the best piece of art I've made, that for me is that's what I'm enjoying.
That's the reward. See,
I'm enjoying having these production meetings with people who are top tier artists.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, I really know some talented people. And by doing that, you remove all the stress. You're never looking desperately to the future or lamenting the past, which I think a lot of people exist in that state, including myself for most of my life.
Hell yeah, man.
Instead, now I'm just like, today I'm doing something really fun. Yeah. I've just written a script with a great author of an amazing novel that I respect. And we wrote an adaptation. Isn't that cool? You know, like things like that. So enjoy the process.
You know, that's the thing, right? Because a lot of people are listening right now, like, how am I enjoying this? What they have to understand is that pain is required. Right there, that's the cover charge.
Sure.
Right. So you go through some pain. You go through different
how can you have positives unless you already know the litmus test of what a negative feels like?
And how are you going to enjoy when you hit that finish line or that perceived finish line? Right. Because like you said a bit ago, you know, you're here now, but then once you hit there, you look at, okay, always grateful, never satisfied. What's the next level? You're always moving, right? You're always shooting for that next thing, that next development.
But my next development now is creating better work with better people and working even harder on those projects. Yeah. It's never how many Instagram followers have I got? How do I get to over 1 million on TikTok? What am I, who am I working with the right director? How famous am I? It's none of that shit. Yeah. It's, excuse my language. It's like,
you let it fly, man.
It's now, you don't want to say that to me. I'm a East End Cockney. It'll be every other word. I've had to train myself, darling, to speak a little bit more beautifully. But, you know, it's never about those things anymore. It's just like, I just created something great. Let me go create something even greater.
That's the thing though, right?
Yeah.
That's the process. Those are the stages.
And when I die, by the way, I've already accepted on my deathbed, I'm not going to think about anything I've created. I might briefly in that little flashback of my entire life go, cool, I created some good work. I'm happy for that. But that's not what I'm going to think about. I'm going to think about that holiday with my girlfriend. I'm going to think about when I got my dog from the rescue center and the years of love she's given me. I'm going to think about my mum and my dad and my sister. I'm going to think about my little niece and getting to see her grow up and her passion for dance. I'm going to think about the coolest place in the world I've traveled to. I'm not going to think remotely about, wasn't it cool that I did a movie with so-and-so? I'm not going to think about that.
Yeah.
So I've already accepted that whilst career successes can be very important for a lot of people, and for me that, yes, they are, creating good work. that's not that where joy in real joy in life comes from. It comes from the doing of something. It comes from your family, it comes from your friends, it comes from, I love grilling, man. It comes from getting a picanha and nailing it and having, you know, a fat steak with some grilled zucchini on the side. That's where it comes from.
I love some steak.
Yeah.
It's about the moments, right? Life's about moments that you create with your family, the people that you love, your friends. Those are what enrich someone's life and allows them to live to the fullest.
And what unifies all of those experiences that we just described is in all of those experiences, you're experiencing a very present joy. Whereas career-related things are often, what's my future goal? What's my past achievements?
Yeah.
So how do you create more present moments within something like your career? How do you get excited to wake up today and go, oh, today I'm going to do something dope? Yeah. You know what I mean? Rather than, am I going to get a raise in a month, or am I going to get passed over for that you know, that role or whatever it is, you know?
Insightful. Those moments that you're talking about, is the paradigm has to be, this is the most important thing. This moment, every single moment that you live, every interaction like this is it. This is the moment.
For sure.
Right? Because that's how you build connection, and that's how you become fulfilled. And I just think too many people are like looking to the left, looking to the right, looking up, looking down.
Because we're being groomed to do that as well. We're being told, like, social media, come on, it's telling us to like hate each other. We're all different. We're all divided. Whether you vote this way, you vote that way, you look this way, or who you want to have sex with, whatever. You know, we're just, everyone's trying to be divided. That's bullshit. We're more unified. We're all human. We're all struggling with certain things. And I don't know, I find, that present living is hard. By the way, none of the concepts I'm suggesting here, I might have had these realizations. None of them are new concepts. I haven't created any of these things. These are all old philosophies that go back thousands of years, and they exist in lots of theologies, you know, whether you're spiritual, religious, or just a deep thinker, philosophical thinker. You know, I'm not saying anything new. I guess the new thing is I'm living it now. Yeah. And I didn't from the age of maybe like 9 years old, 8, 9 years old, until I was 38 years old.
And that's normal for a lot of people, right?
Yeah. I mean, well, it's normal to do it their entire life.
Sure. I mean, because you get in this autopilot where you just don't know. This is present state. This is how I'm supposed to feel. Instead of diving into whether, you know, like it could be spiritual, you know, theological, philosophy, all the principles are be here now, serve, work. Yeah. Like literally perfect what you're doing. To an extent, like I don't like the word perfect or perfectionism. Sure. But really put the effort
in progress.
Yeah, exactly. Like really make progress in that one thing that you're doing, man. I just think it's so important, because when you look up, it's like, wait a second, you know, I'm so much further ahead than I was maybe 12 months ago. But when you're going through it, it's the process.
Yeah.
And you know, sometimes it's good to kind of sit back and like, okay, all right, I see the up level, but now let's stay what's most important right this moment.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, man. It's good stuff, man. I enjoy talking to you, dude.
Thanks.
Appreciate
it.
Bro. Absolutely. I'm rooting for you. Excited to see everything that you're doing. I do have one more question as we land the plane.
Yeah.
The show is called The Determined Society, right? And we based it on, what does determination mean? A lot of people have different definitions of determination and how they execute it on a daily basis or even a moment-to-moment basis. But what does determination mean to you?
Consistency for me. I found like I've used the word, I'm determined to do this, I'm determined to achieve that, I'm determined to make this change in my life. But until I learn which is again, very recent thing I've learned, consistency is key for everything. Working out, you know it, you're in the gym. I'm back in there now. I've got a trainer again now. I'm in 5 days, 6 days a week. And I'm seeing the benefits. I'm like, oh, okay. So my determination to get fit for a role that I've got, I'm getting fit for a reason. I got a film at the end of the year. I want to get buff, you know what I mean? But I also know it has ongoing benefits. I think consistency for me has been the skill that I needed to learn to exist in a determined fashion day to day, really.
Love that. Yeah. A lot of people think it's like being gritty all the time, being super intense.
Nah.
It's loud.
Because those are moments as well. You don't know how you're going to act in a moment. I've now had enough crisis experiences, crisis moments, where I've realized I thrive in that environment. You know, there's an active shooter. I'm not going to lie. I'm the guy running at him and trying to tackle him. And maybe there's a little bit of a hero complex behind that as well. There's lots of things to unpack. But people think they can be determined in specific moments, but you don't really know until you're put in that moment. if you're determined to achieve a certain goal, it has to start from the small building blocks all the way to the end of that goal. And that is literally the definition of consistency. Every day, hey, you want to write Hollywood movies? Cool. Start writing, suck at it, write shitty scripts, have your friends laugh at them, go and do a writing course, go work with someone else who's a better writer than you, learn from them, read some online blogs, do a masterclass, boom, 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 boom. And now 5 years later, you've written a script that's just been picked up by a major studio in Hollywood. You see what I mean? And it wasn't like I wasn't just determined to write a script for Hollywood. It wasn't that. It was like, no, you have to be consistent with the work and the ethic.
Mastering the monotony. Like that's really what it is, right? Like you said, the consistency.
Or not even monotony. I disagree with that. Okay. Sorry, and I apologize for pushing back because I like the sentiment. I get it.
Yeah.
I don't think even mastering monotony, because some of it's not. That's what I was talking about earlier. You have to find ways to make what you're doing not monotonous. You want to be buff. Does everyone enjoy going to the gym? No, they don't. No. Okay. So I don't enjoy going to the gym. Cool. But I want to get really muscular. How do I now make going to the gym every day not a monotonous task? How do I live presently in that and feel good about it? All right. Maybe I'm going to listen to podcasts that really like speak to me while I'm doing it. So now I'm in there, I'm like, not only am I getting fit, I'm growing my mind while I'm doing this. Maybe I just like listening to music that uplifts me. Maybe before, you treat yourself at the end of every workout with a Chipotle protein bowl, whatever the hell it is that makes you go, now this is not a monotonous experience. Now this is something that I feel the results because I know what my end goal is, but I'm living in the present moment and being happy about doing this daily workout regime. That's what I think. Like find ways to not make it monotonous.
Yeah, no, like, thank you for that. Thank you for pushing back on that. It's always welcome because I have certain perspectives.
He's gonna beat the shit out of me afterwards.
I'm gonna get him. I'm gonna get him.
Yeah, I feel it.
Parking lot, me and you, after school, right? But no, it's true. It's like because I do at the root level go, okay, how do I enjoy this?
Yeah.
And a lot of times is, I'll see like, oh well, I get to see so and so at the gym and say hi to them, and it's always a good interaction, and it makes it fun. Or like you said, the podcast, the music, whatever.
Yeah,
it
there
is,
you go. You built a social
joy.
circle around your gym now.
1,000%. 1,000%.
So you're dope. You go in there like, hey, what's up, Barry? What's going on? Hey, Celine, how are you? Looking good. Wow, how did you do it? Can you show me this? Can I learn something? Hey, would you guys mind spotting? Boom, boom, boom. It's a social club. Now you're learning more about yourself. You're learning more about what your body can do. I didn't even know I could do that.
Exactly.
Wait, I can do 20 pull-ups. I didn't know I could do that shit. You know what I mean? Whatever it is,
that's
whatever
serious strength, man.
Well, you get what I'm saying. You get what I'm saying.
But absolutely, building the social circle.
I can't do 20 pull-ups, just so you know. You get what I'm saying. The point is,
I do. But it's great. No, but man, thank you so much.
Appreciate you
for coming on, man. It was great to meet you, and I'm excited to see everything that you're going to continue to do.
Thank you very much, man.
But the thing that impresses me most is about your introspective journey on your own life and how you're giving back in acts of service to the community and doing things for the right reason. So thank you, brother. I appreciate you. For the audience, go check my boy out, Jeff Leach. Until next time, stay determined.